Have you ever wondered how habits shape your life? It's a question that might seem simple, but it's a door to a universe of intricate mechanisms and fascinating science. This is the realm explored by Charles Duhigg in his groundbreaking work, The Power of Habit. In our day-to-day lives, we all have routines we follow, little rituals that we may not even realize we're performing. These are our habits, the small decisions and actions that, when added together, shape the course of our lives. But have you ever stopped to think about why you have these habits, or how they came to be? That's where Duhigg's book comes in. The Power of Habit takes us on a journey into the heart of our daily routines. It's a deep dive into why we do what we do, and how we can harness the power of habit to transform our lives. Duhigg doesn't just theorize about habits, he delves into the science behind them. He looks at how habits are formed in our brains, how they influence our actions, and how understanding this process can empower us to make positive changes. The book is as much a scientific exploration as it is a practical guide. But it's not just about the individual. Duhigg also explores how habits shape organizations and societies. He shows us that habits aren't just personal, they're collective. They influence how companies operate, how communities function, and even how history unfolds. The power of habit, then, is not just about changing ourselves but changing the world around us. It's about understanding the forces that shape our lives and learning how to steer them towards better outcomes. So, how does this book dissect the power of habits? Stay with us to find out. After all, understanding our habits is the first step to mastering them. And as Duhigg shows, mastering our habits can unlock incredible potential, both in ourselves and in the world around us. Habits aren't just routines, they are complex neurological processes. This is one of the fascinating insights Charles Duhigg shares in his book, The Power of Habit. He delves deep into the science behind our habits, shining a light on the intricate workings of our brains. At the heart of Duhigg's exploration is what he calls the habit loop. This loop consists of three key components: the cue, the routine, and the reward. The cue is what triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. It's a bit like a green light, signaling your brain to go ahead and carry out a particular action. This could be anything from a specific time of day to a particular smell or location. Following the cue comes the routine. This is the actual behavior or action you perform. It could be anything from lighting up a cigarette to going for a run. The routine is what we typically think of when we talk about habits. Finally, we have the reward. This is the pleasure or benefit you gain from carrying out the routine. It's the sweet taste of a chocolate bar, the rush of endorphins after a workout, or the satisfaction of a clean house. The reward is crucial, as it's what your brain latches onto, making it want to repeat the routine in the future. Understanding this habit loop is the first step towards changing our habits. By identifying the cues and rewards associated with our habits, we can start to manipulate them. We can replace unhealthy routines with healthier ones while keeping the same cues and rewards. This way we trick our brain into adopting new behaviors without feeling like we're missing out on something. However, it's important to remember that changing habits isn't a quick fix. It requires patience and persistence. Our brains are wired to resist change, so it's normal to experience setbacks. But with time and effort, we can start to rewrite our habit loops, replacing old unhelpful behaviors with new beneficial ones. Rewiring our habits is no easy task, but it's certainly not impossible. So let's embark on this journey of self-improvement together, one habit at a time. Can understanding habits lead to success in business, sports, and life? This question might seem overly simplified, but Charles Duhigg, in his book The Power of Habit, provides a resounding yes as an answer. Consider the story of Paul O'Neill, who took over as CEO of the struggling aluminium company Alcoa in the late 80s. O'Neill focused on a single habit, worker safety, and by transforming that, he managed to turn the company around and make it one of the safest and most profitable in the world. His approach was simple: identify a keystone habit, in this case safety, and let the changes ripple throughout the organization. Then there's the tale of Michael Phelps, the most decorated Olympian of all time. How did he achieve such greatness? By focusing on his habits. His coach, Bob Bowman, helped Phelps develop a set of routines that optimized his performance. Every race day, Phelps would follow the same pattern of actions, from the moment he woke up to the second he hit the pool. This routine became so ingrained that even under intense pressure, he could execute flawlessly. Let's not forget about Starbucks, a company that trains its employees to follow specific habits when dealing with customers. Ever wonder why your barista always seems so cheerful and efficient? It's not by accident. Starbucks has a system of habits in place to ensure consistent high-quality service. So what's the takeaway? It's about the transformative power of habits. Whether you're trying to rehabilitate a struggling business, become an elite athlete, or simply deliver a great cup of coffee, understanding and harnessing habits can make a world of difference. It's important to remember that habits aren't just about personal success. They can also shape our communities and our societies. In fact, Duhigg argues that habits played a crucial role in the success of the civil rights movement in the United States. So, habits can indeed be a secret weapon to success. Whether it's in business, sports, or everyday life, the right habits can lead to incredible achievements. It's all about understanding how they work and knowing how to use them to your advantage. Is it possible to change habits that have been ingrained for years? This question often lingers in our minds as we grapple with habits we've held onto for most of our lives. Well, according to Charles Duhigg in his book, The Power of Habit, the answer is a resounding yes. First, to change a habit, we need to identify the routine. This is the behavior we want to change. Maybe it's reaching for that cookie every afternoon. Or perhaps it's the habit of scrolling through social media first thing in the morning. To change this routine, we need to understand its components, which brings us to the next step. Experimenting with rewards is crucial. Rewards are what make our habits stick. They provide us with a sense of satisfaction or relief, reinforcing the habit loop. If your habit is having a cookie every afternoon, is it the sugar rush you crave, or is it a break from work? Experimenting with different rewards can help identify what you're truly seeking and offer healthier alternatives. Next, we need to isolate the cue. Cues trigger our habits. They could be a location, a time of day, a certain emotional state, or even the company of particular people. Once we've identified the cue, we can start to dismantle the habit loop. Lastly, having a plan is vital. Once the routine, reward, and cue have been identified, it's time to draft a plan to change the habit. This could involve replacing the routine with a healthier behavior, changing the environment to eliminate the cue, or finding a new reward that satisfies the same craving. Changing habits can be challenging. It requires self-awareness, determination, and consistency. It's a journey of trial and error, of small victories and setbacks. But remember, every step you take towards breaking a bad habit is a step towards a healthier, happier you. Change does not happen overnight, but with patience and persistence, it is possible. So keep going, keep experimenting, keep planning, and most importantly, keep believing in the power of change. Because, as Charles Duhigg shows us, when it comes to changing habits, the power is in your hands. So, what are the key takeaways from The Power of Habit? The book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg is a treasure trove of insights, but if we had to distill its essence, we'd focus on 4 main points. Firstly, understanding habits. The book imparts the knowledge that our habits are not mere repetition of actions. They are deeply ingrained patterns that shape our lives, our businesses, and our societies. They are the invisible architecture of our existence, subtly guiding our actions and behaviors. Secondly, the science of habits. Duhigg delves into the mechanics of habits, explaining the 3-step loop of cue, routine, and reward. The cue triggers a routine, which then leads to a reward. This loop, once established, becomes automatic and shapes our lives in ways we often don't even realize. Thirdly, the real-world application of habits. The book is brimming with examples of how understanding and manipulating habits can lead to significant changes. From corporations using habits to boost productivity, to social movements harnessing the power of habits to spark widespread change, Duhigg shows us that the power of habits extends far beyond our personal lives. Lastly, changing habits. Perhaps the most empowering part of the book is when Duhigg explains how we can change our habits. It's not about eliminating bad habits, but rather changing the routine associated with a particular cue and reward. It's about identifying the cues and rewards, understanding the cravings driving our behaviors, and then finding new, positive routines that satisfy those cravings. In essence, the power of habit teaches us that we are not helpless in the face of our habits. We have the power to understand them, to change them, and to use them to our advantage. In the words of Charles Duhigg, once you understand that habits can change, you have the freedom and the responsibility to remake them.